because the textbook will diagnose depression for having a certain amount of symptoms. So there are about 9 symptoms that we look at. And if you have 6 out of the 9 and you have it every day consecutively for 14 days, that's diagnosed as major depressive disorder.
Welcome to Her Side of the Story. This is the podcast where sister friends tell their side of the story about relationships, lifestyle challenges, and triumph. Here are your hosts, Ray and Ash.
Welcome back to episode 10 of Her Side of the Story podcast, where sister friends talk about love lines, lifelines, and everything in between. Today we have a special guest, but before we introduce her, I do want to talk a little bit about the episode focus for today. So this episode is all about mental health, how depression shows up, why seasonal changes can make things harder, and how to take care of yourself in the midst of it all. We'll be joined by a board-certified psychiatric mental health and family nurse practitioner to break down what depression really looks like, how to recognize it in yourself and others, and practical ways to management. This is a conversation about real emotions, real struggles, and real ways to feel better. Okay? Super excited.
We are. Thank you for that episode focus, Ray. And today, like Ray said, y'all, we have a very, very special guest. She is the big sis of big sisses, okay? She is the doctor of doctors, okay? Dr. Anyi Atabong, okay? This is a very full circle moment because I think it was episode 4 on CEOs of season 1 when I was asked who 3 women who really influenced my life. I said you as one of them. So it's a very full circle moment. You know, I love you. We both love you. And having you here means so much to us. So I'm going to read Dr. Anyi's bio because she is an accomplished woman. Okay. Dr. Anyi Atabong, a doctorally prepared and duly board certified psychiatric mental health and family nurse practitioner, has been in healthcare for approximately 20 years. She has a passion for working with minorities and the underserved, particularly individuals who suffer from mental health disorders, while striving to combat the stigma of psychiatric diseases. Wearing multiple hats, Anyi currently works full-time in an outpatient private practice that she co-owns. Yes, she does. And we're going to link it. Owner, period. Additionally, she serves as an adjunct professor at Coppin State University's Helen Fould School of Nursing, actively involved in various professional organizations. She's either acts as a director, a global ambassador, or chairs several health committees. Anyi also holds the position of commissioners for African Affairs for the state of Maryland under Governor Wes Moore, and works as a consultant for Big Pharma. Her community impact and engagement have been recognized through features in several magazines and multiple awards for outstanding leadership. Her passion extends to cultural awareness of mental health stigmas, health equity, mentorship, and community problem solving. In her spare time, she enjoys traveling and spending time with family, friends, and loved ones. So welcome.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you today.
Thank you all. It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited. And I'm just so grateful that you ladies have taken on the mission to do this, because it's a good thing to be able to hear women of color, share what happens with us day to day, It's relatable. And it feels good to know that you're not the only one experiencing these day-to-day things. So great.
Absolutely. So I'll kick it off with the first question. So let us start by getting real. Mental health is something that we're all dealing with, but it looks different for everyone. So what would you say, or how would you describe what depression looks like beyond feeling sad? Because when people talk about depression, they just say, oh, I'm sad. But what does it look like beyond just being sad?
It's funny that you asked that, because I also precept students so that they do clinical rotations with me for psychiatry. And some of our patients, when asking them, so how are you feeling? Like, are you depressed? Do you feel like your symptoms are stable at the moment? And then they'll say things like, yeah, I'm not crying, and I don't really feel sad right now, so I guess I'm good. And so this is a very important question, because like it doesn't truly manifest itself in that way all the time. So there's certain symptoms, especially now during these winter months. If you find that you're sleeping a lot more often than usual, if you're overeating or undereating, if you also find that, the things that you truly like to do, you've lost pleasure in doing those things. You're not doing those things anymore. You're not hanging out with your friends. You're not calling them or texting them. If you were someone with this generation, if you're someone who's always posting on the gram or Snapchat, and then all of a sudden you're not posting anymore, it's like,
Something's going on.
Something's going, where's she at? And then just losing focus too. Sometimes losing focus and concentration, and then having those, you find yourself second guessing things all the time. Depression can manifest in that way as well.
You know what's interesting about those symptoms, or other symptoms that people don't talk about a lot, are the somatic ones. Do you have any insight on somatic issues? I know personally, like if I'm dealing with depression, I feel it in my body.
Yes.
Like I'm nauseous. Yeah. I'm losing or gaining weight. So I'd be curious.
The biggest one is fatigue. That's number one. So if you're always tired, that's the capital one physical symptom for depression. Followed by aches. If you feel like you're just having these aches in your joints that came out of nowhere, it's like, why am I feeling achy? Your back. I just feel achy and tired. Those are the two symptoms. And then it also comes with headaches at times. I've had patients present with constant headaches from that. So those are the most common ones you'll see with depression.
Yeah, that's so interesting, especially the lack of eating, because I never thought that would be one. I would always think someone would want to like overeat, but you're right. Like now that you think about it, the under eating, getting the nutrients you need, even just feeling the sluggish, like you said.
It. You're so tired that you're not even compelled to leave the bed to go find something.
That's the one. Like that is, and in the aches, like the headache, and now that I'm just like, of course, I'm here self-diagnosing myself. I'm like, because my head and my back and my knees and my things, and it's funny because I would be talking to Ray, and I'm like, I don't have the energy to call this person. I don't have the energy to do this, and sometimes you wonder, like, am I tired or am I sad? Like, am I going through something that is really deeper than just like. Because I'm such a communicator, as we all know. And what I do notice, especially around this time, after the holidays, I'm like in my own bubble, and I was telling Ray, like I don't even have the energy to go do something social. So it's definitely, I'm gonna have to come see Dr. Annie.
Yeah, and them holiday months can get to you for sure.
Yeah. That really segues nicely into the next question. So we know seasonal depression is a thing. And it's something that a lot of people feel, like you said, holiday months, winter months, that's classified really as seasonal depression, but people don't recognize it. So do you have any insight about why the colder months make people more vulnerable to feeling sad and low?
That's a great question. For sure. When you think about it, during those colder months, we don't get enough sunlight. So if you're not getting sunlight, you're not getting vitamin D. And vitamin D helps your body produce enough serotonin. And that's the hormone that makes you really feel good about yourself. So if we're not getting enough of that, it impacts the production of that, which then intends to lower your moods. And then the other thing too is there's another hormone in our body called melatonin, which helps you sleep. And in darker days, your body tends to produce more of that. So if you're producing more melatonin, then you're more likely to sleep more. And so that can just kind of in turn manifest into just being tired, not having the motivation to do the things that you want to do. And then I think there was a discussion about how this impacts women as well, because the honest truth is you will see more seasonal depression in women than you do men. So I want to say the statistics now are that 1 in 20 individuals are diagnosed with depression in the United States. And out of that 20, 4 out of 5 women actually are diagnosed with seasonal depression.
Wow.
Such an interesting statistic. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Crazy.
yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? And most of the times, there's also a very high percentage that if you do have seasonal depression, you also have a co-occurring another mental health disorder. And so that is why it's so important that we really try to encourage, especially now, because the pandemic really opened us to the importance of mental health, that
Yeah.
you have a therapist, right? You know, when you have your primary care doctor that you go into once a year, your OBGYN that you go into for once a year, it's also good to have a therapist that you can check into with every couple of months just to see how you're doing. Because sometimes it's difficult for you to pinpoint some of these symptoms, but they will. Or even if you don't have a therapist, at least your primary care doctor or your OBGYN will. They'll be like, they'll tend to ask you things about how you're feeling. And then that kind of gives you the opportunity to reflect on how you're doing and be like, oh yeah, I have been feeling like this, but I didn't realize that it was a depression.
Annie, this is so good. I'm like, oh, here we go, self-diagnosing. On a personal note, I dealt with seasonal depression for many years. Like I would say, like the past 2 years, I finally got over it. We're going to claim it. I finally got over it.
Yes.
But also, you bring up seasonal depression and a co-occurring disorder. I also have like anxiety, sometimes like really bad social anxiety. So that's a statistic I didn't know, and this is making sense now. So.
Yes. So that gives us the opportunity to kind of like further examine other things you may have. And then so the question also becomes, so why women? Like, so why do women get it more? And truly it's because of it's just the dynamic of women when it comes to hormones. That estrogen hormone is what will do it. So, you know, because women have menstrual cycles, it just impacts our moods. Therefore, that also is an influence on how we are able to get that diagnosis in winter months too, because that impacts.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is that trip in December, January, February, and March to the Caribbean is needed.
It's a must do.
You need to go.
If you have the coins, please go.
Book the flights.
Book the flight.
Get you some sun.
Exactly.
Get you. If you need the heat, the sun lamp in the room, they got them on Amazon. Put it on your face. And it's crazy because it's so interesting that we're talking about this, because during COVID, I was seeing a lot of women, like, you know, social media influencers with the sun. I'm like, is this the 70s? Like, why are we doing this? But then you hear the benefits of it, and you don't really, I don't think for me, it really hits me until I think this year. I felt like daylight savings was so dark, like darker than it usually, and it's like, yes. And it's for like that month. And you're like, oh my God, I what am I doing here? Like it's so dark. And I was talking to my girlfriend, Jill, cause she lives in England. And when I went to go visit her one time over there, it gets dark at like 3:30, 4:00. It's pitch black during their daylight saving. And I was like, I told her, I said, how do you do this? She was like, girl, she's like, trust me, that's how we try to get all the sun, because it is so impactful in your mood.
It is.
And just, at least I'll speak for myself, just how I move along with the rest of my day. Because if it's 4:00 and it's dark like that, I'm already, like you said, like getting the aches, getting tight, like, oh, let me just lay down. If someone has invited me to go have wine and charcuterie, I'm like, oh, baby, Sheree, no, I'm good for it. Sheree and I, once it starts raining, Ray and I,
we gonna come outside.
Ray and I will text each other. We will be having a meeting. I'll be like, I even do it with you, Annie. I'm like, if the raindrop, are we?
You know how you see those little memes about things like that, is especially as you get older, it's like, she canceled, thank God.
Thank God. Because I was in my robe looking like, right, it's canceled right now.
For real.
But no, that's some really good insight. And like Ray was saying, like the stats, so very alarming.
Oh yeah. Yes. And those are coming from the National Institute of Mental Health. So these are like verified facts, please. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Not he say, she say.
Yeah.
Not shade room. No offense.
No shade to shade room, because we love them. But as a clinician, we want evidence-based statistics. Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So we talked about how being in the colder months at times can cause the seasonal depression and things like that and how to combat it. So what are your thoughts here on we as women, kind of what we spoke about in our last episode, how self-care is essential and it's not like a choice, it's a must.
Absolutely.
And pushing that with the fine line between quote unquote pushing through, like I'm just going to push through and ignoring your own needs. So what are some ways that you recognize when you are not just exhausted, but struggling with depression? When should you ask or seek help? When do you think in this process, when you're like, okay, no, I'm good. I'm just going to move through, like, I'm just going to move through my day, move through my month, move through my year. And I feel like we've been kind of, especially as women of color in these last few months, are really just kind of moving along.
Yeah.
So when would you say would be a good time to start seeking or asking for help?
I mean, I feel like you kind of said that with the pushing through. If you find that you have to constantly tell yourself, let me push through, let me push through, let me push through, right? Because the textbook will diagnose depression for having a certain amount of symptoms. So there are about 9 symptoms that we look at. And if you have 6 out of the 9 and you have it every day consecutively for 14 days, that's diagnosed as major depressive disorder, right? So people are like, 2 weeks? I've been feeling like this for like 3 years. So I normally tell my patients, if you find yourself having to tell yourself this for over a month, that I have to push through, then that's a period where you need to kind of sit down and reflect and be like, okay, why am I having to constantly push through? What is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm not doing? What is it that I need to do to make things better so that I don't have to find myself always having to push through? And then the importance of really building your tribe. You know, as women of color, having your tribe is so important because sometimes you may not even be recognizing, like you've masked these symptoms, like you've been like on the go for so long that you may not even recognize that this is your push through, keep pushing through. And so it's one of your girls in your tribe that's going to be like, Ash, what's up? Is everything good? I'm just checking in. What's up? Because you keep saying, I got this, I got that. I just feel like I'm pushing through. I feel like I can't catch up. And so sometimes having your tribe being able to alert you can be also very helpful.
Yeah, I think that is so important. I feel like Ashley is quick to alert me. But recently,
she will for sure, Ray. She'll call you out in 2 seconds.
I might have had like a bad day or something last week. It was, that's another story. I was talking to one of my other girlfriends and she's just like, hey, you usually, I remember you struggled with seasonal depression. She brought it up. Do you think that's what it is? And I was like, oh, thank you for remembering that was something that I used to struggle with, but it also allowed me a moment to like get grounded in my own feelings to make sure that's not what I was suffering from. Now I was just having a bad day, fortunately. So it was good. But that's when your tribe shows up. They see things and they remember things that you don't.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
A sidebar, Annie, I think it might be helpful too for the listeners to hear about the 9 symptoms, give or take.
Oh, yes.
6, but there's 9.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So there's an assessment that we call the PHQ-9. So it's called the Patient Health Questionnaire, and number 9 because of the 9 things that we look at. So one of the first question would be is, do you have little interest or pleasure in doing things? Is one. Then the next is, are you feeling helpless or hopeless? The other is fatigue. Are you having a lot of fatigue? How is your appetite? They ask about the the under eating or the overeating. They look at concentration. How's your concentration level? They even ask if you're restless. Do you find that you're really fidgety? Because sometimes being really fidgety or being super restless can tell us if you're having the depression diagnosis. Thoughts of wanting to harm yourself. Thoughts of not wanting to be here anymore. And so how many is that, y'all?
My background used to be clinical psych, so loss of interest, appetite.
Yes.
Lethargic or not.
Yep.
Is it anxious feelings or is that not?
So we'll ask if you're moving or speaking too slowly.
Yeah.
Moving or speaking too slowly, or are you the opposite, which is really fidgety or restless? So I think we did hit all of them.
Yeah.
I think you did.
Yep. Yeah. So those are them.
Good reflection there.
And looking at those symptoms, because sometimes people will say, I mean, well, yeah, I get that. But then the question is, do you feel like this every day consecutively for over 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the time frame definitely matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also it could be a mix of the symptoms. Like you may have different symptoms on different days, and you can't forget that because they're like, oh, I don't have all 6 symptoms every day, but you've had a mix of the 6 over the past 14 days.
That is correct.
Yeah. So, asking for help can be hard. Nobody wants to admit that they're struggling, they're sad, they're having, hopeless feelings. So how would you advise someone to seek or to start the conversation with either their loved ones or a professional?
So honestly, that tends to be a little tricky because not all the time do individuals want to admit this, right? And so that's why I say it's so important for your tribe to be around, because that would kind of be a good conversation starter, because there could be so much shame in even saying that you have it. So technically, if they don't, more than likely, if you do and you feel uncomfortable about talking with this to your family or your friends, then most people would tend to go to someone who they would consider more non-judgmental, which is a professional. But for the question I tend to get more is, if you recognize someone close to you having the symptoms, right? How do you bring that up to your friend? Like, baby, I have noticed this. And I always say that the environment needs to be very conducive for the conversation, right? You're not about to be in the middle of a concert somewhere and you trying to bring up something.
Please don't.
Right? About my feelings. You feel me? Or
when other people are around.
Or when other people when other people are around, or if I just got out of a situation that really made me mad or upset and then now you want to add on to that. No. It should be something to where, hey girl, come over for maybe a glass of wine, or let's do an activity together, right? Something that's going to make someone feel good, right? And you just have to set precedents for the conversation. And then sometimes you got to put a disclaimer too, like, sis, I've known you for this long, I'm looking out for you. And these are some things that I have noticed. And so I just want to make sure that you're good and I'm checking in, because at the end of the day, your well-being matters to me. And so these are the things that I've noted. That's more approachable. If my sister is coming to me like that, okay, but not just, we're out of this restaurant. I'm like, Ray, so for the past couple of months, you've been eating a lot. Like, you don't want to go out with me anymore. Anytime I call you, you're always not in the mood to go out. You're always canceling on me. I don't appreciate that. Like, not even because you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
Not considering what that other, because before you want to, get on the attack, you want to find out what's going on with that person first, because something could be actually going on with them. So I find that a lot with friendships, especially with my patients. And she do that, she do that, but there's actually a reason. She's probably going through a divorce and you don't even know it. She's probably about to lose her home and you don't even know it. She herself, I've had situations where even the individual themselves just got a diagnosis of a cancer diagnosis, and they don't know how they're going to even share that with anybody. So there's so many things that could be going on with individuals, to where sometimes we really have to put ourselves aside, check on that person first, and then you can come with your grievances.
Yeah.
Love that, Annie.
That's definitely received. Because sometimes it's,
because you think it sometimes. You think it's you.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah. And you're so blunt. Well, I'm blunt, but and I'm like, especially when I love you, I'm like, what's up? What's up with you?
Yeah.
And sometimes the delivery can be not well received.
And that's it.
And I'm like, I'm just being me. But it's like, I am a very compassionate person. But when I love you and I'm comfortable with you, I'm like, what's up with you? You don't want to do this. That's exactly how it kind of starts off.
Right.
And you're so right. And I feel like not making this just about women of color, because this podcast is about all women, but
sure,
in our community of people of color, it seems to be harder to come out and express like, hey, I'm going through a mental health, blah, blah, blah. Because in our community, it's been so stigmatized. Like, that's not real. You just had a bad day. You're just, it's one bad week. That doesn't mean that this is, and then you kind of retreat and don't feel comfortable sharing. So I think the way that you approached it, a lot of that too is sometimes people do want to share, but they
Yes.
feel like, in their communities or in their life, the people wouldn't take it seriously, think it's a joke, think
True.
it's something that will just go away like snap of a finger, rub your
True.
hands together, wash it away. And I've definitely seen that, in the Black community a lot,
For
where
sure.
it's like, you're not sad. You're fine.
Yeah. Just go pray. Just go pray about it.
Go pray about it. Yeah.
Pray about
Prayer,
it.
prayer and therapy go great together. I'm just saying.
They do.
Period.
1,000%. 1,000%. There's the spiritual piece, but then there's also the actual, like the physical, professional piece that goes in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always say the therapy portion really helps you unweave the issues. And if you go for that reason alone, why do I feel a certain way or why do I behave a certain way? Then therapy will help you work through that. It's always a great start.
I'm happy you mentioned that, Ray, because that's the other thing too is because the majority of my patients are men and women of color. And so there's this notion that therapy is a waste of time and money. All I'm doing is paying this person to talk to them about what's going on with me. And I have to explain to them that that's not how therapy works. I think we need to do a better job as clinicians to really explain what therapy is, how it can impact you, and what you really do in therapy, because therapy is a lot of work. And like you said, when you have a really good therapist, because yes, it is true, not all therapists are great, just like you don't have so many great doctors either. And there's some nurses who are not the best. It's all about really finding that person that you can mesh with. You unweave and you unpack so many things that you realize that you didn't even know you had. And then the individual is going to teach you coping mechanisms. They're going to show you a toolbox, help you create your own toolbox so that when you have these, because at the end of the day, we're going to have moments and feelings and things that we don't like that will impact us. And so it's you being able to go into that toolbox and move out this tool for that mood, for that when I'm grieving or for when I'm seriously anxious or for when I'm sad or for when I'm depressed. You have that with you, which is being taught in therapy. And Lord knows, just off of historical traumas, black folk got a lot of stuff.
Need to unweave and unpack.
That we need to unweave and unpack.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
This is so good. I wish y'all could see our faces because I'm just taken back. I'm almost out my chair at this point.
Teresa's like, hold on, pause this. Let me get my own session real quick. Okay? We both like take this offline. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
This is it's amazing.
I love it.
So what were we talking about? Asking for help and getting the conversation going. Yes. I guess we'll take it one step further. So what actually helps when people are feeling low? What are some self-care strategies that you might recommend for someone struggling with depression?
So there's so many different strategies, and I normally tell patients or individuals or friends and family, you need to figure out what's going to work best for you, because what may work for Ash may not work for Ray. But what we technically tend to encourage is meditation and deep breathing often, right? People are like, meditate, deep breathe. I'm like, yeah, for sure. For self-care, it just does like a reset to the brain, and so whatever you're feeling at that moment tends to help you feel a lot more relaxed and kind of help you refocus into your day, especially if you started off in the morning. Then the things that we say all the time that are so cliche, like eat good, eat healthy, eat balanced meals, and exercise, right? The power of exercising, I'm talking about 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day. When you exercise, your brain produces those hormones that make you feel really, really good. So especially dopamine. Dopamine is dopamine is being increased, and dopamine is what makes you feel really, really good. It gives you that motivation and that extra energy. Serotonin too is also being produced, and those are the hormones that make you feel really good about yourself. And so if you're able to do that daily, that's natural. No supplements, nothing. That's already natural. And of course, you want to eat balanced meals because you get the nutrients that your body needs to help you feel good. So those are the typical things. But then there are other things that we need to do. We might have to take the extra step further And sometimes it can be challenging because those things cost money.
Yeah.
Right. So I tell people for those that can afford, you may not be able to do certain things all the time, but if you're able to treat yourself once a month to a massage, to a facial, to an activity, and this could be a thing that you do by yourself or with a friend. And this is anything from, go to Groupon, going to a gun range and doing some, the shooting at a gun range, or going to a game, or going to a museum, right? So those are certain activities that really just kind of help increase the mood, most certainly. And if you, even better, going on a trip, some of us, everybody kind of knows what they like. So, purchasing plane tickets, as long as you're not breaking the bank, can also be helpful by changing your environment. Sometimes changing your environment is needed. And even if you can't go out of the country, getting on a train and going, like me and Ash last year, we get on a train, 2 hours, you're in New York City, a whole weekend, 3 days, sufficient. And then I'm coming back to my routine. I was able to, debrief, rest, change my environment, and then come back and getting into the nitty gritty of things. So helping changing your environment also can be very helpful. So there's so many little things. It's just a matter of really finding out what works for you and what's cost effective for you. And then ask ideas. I tell people, go to Pinterest. I say, y'all Google everything else. Y'all will Google everything. Go to, what are some things?
Chat GPT.
Exactly.
TikTok it.
Right. What are some activities that I can do for myself under $20?
Period.
Oh, it'll give you a whole list.
That's a good one. That's a challenge for y'all. Do that with Chat GPT. What are some activities I could do for myself for $20 or less?
Less. Absolutely.
I love that.
Exactly. So I tell my patients, I'm like, because sometimes the first thing you think of is, I got to spend $150 to go to this. I'm like, no, you ain't got to do that. No, ma'am. You do not have to do that. There are so many cost-effective things that you can do for yourself. And make sure you pencil it in your calendar, right? Because especially my moms, y'all got everybody's appointments in there. You got the dog got an appointment, your husband or your partner got one, all the kids got one, but you're nowhere in this for your downtime. Because as a woman, we have so many responsibilities, even as single women, right? We have so many girlfriends. We have so many nieces and nephews. Like, we have so many responsibilities. We got godchildren. We're busy too. So being able to put your time in the calendar is so essential, because then now it has to be done.
I love that example. So what's interesting is last week was my first week of a compressed work week. I specifically went to 4 days because I was like, I'm going to take Friday to be my day. Whatever I want to do, if I want to go to the museum, I got a pedicure last week. This week I'm getting a facial. Like, you gotta really take care of yourself, and do whatever you got to do is what I'm saying. Do whatever you got to do that you got some time for you. Otherwise, I feel like you'll be more susceptible to mental illness.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And other things.
Yeah.
Other physical things. Like, a lot of the studies are showing too, for example, with cancer diagnoses, it comes from stress. It's really coming.
They've been saying it, ain't they?
They've been saying it. Stress
They've been saying
it. That up.
Right?
For a long time.
Stress is huge. So we really need to kind of get into the habit of, working on doing, some stress relaxation type things for ourselves as often as we can, as long as time permits, and finances as well.
And you said, now y'all done heard it from two doctors. Dr. Jeff was on our show last season, and Dr. Annie. The breathing work, that's one thing that Dr. Jeff he even gave examples, spoke so highly about. And, he's a neuroscientist, okay? And also he even said, he's like, walk 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day. He's like, get outside the air, let the air touch your body.
Fresh air. Yes. Everyone that has, I'm an Apple girl. So, I got your Apple Watch. There's an app on there that even allows you to do that for 10 seconds. So I'm not even going to lie, right? So when I got my watch, this is years ago, and I was like, all right, let me go ahead. Because, I tell my patients to do this, and I do it. But it was something different about following it on my watch. I actually did it, and I was like, all right, followed it through. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The rest of my afternoon was Gucci, because I had difficult patients that morning. I had some difficult patients, and I was like, Lord,
Am I gonna make it through the day?
Am I gonna make it through this day? I said, let me go ahead and take a step back. Matter of fact, let me try this little thing on my watch. Let me try the app. Let me see if the app is really. Oh no, it did it. It did it for me. And so I have been a firm believer of definitely preaching deep breathing and using apps like that to kind of help guide you.
So one question is too, we say, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to do it. 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 But how do you maintain those habits, or what are some tips that you would give on how to maintain those habits when you're feeling unmotivated? Because as we just said, when you're feeling these things, signs of depression or anxiety or whatever it may be, you may not, your mind might be so chaotic and so overwhelmed that those things that we're saying to do don't get done. So what are some tips that you would recommend with
number one? The big one is really having an accountability partner, right? It's almost like a weight loss program. When you're like, all right, the goal for this summer is to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to eat right. And I'm going to exercise. And I ain't going to drink no alcohol on the weekends. And then you be sticking to it. You mean it with all your heart, mind, and soul. Okay. And then a month is done, and you like, bruh, what we doing with unlimited mimosas at you feel me? Unlimited, not even a mimosa. You want unlimited, and then you be like, oh my God, I haven't had crumble in forever. And then you eat crumble on Monday, but then you eat crumble on Wednesday and Friday too. So it's like.
I'm like, not crumble. It's gonna get me every time.
Yeah.
I still have not had one of them things.
What? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm gonna get you a 3-pack.
So, once you can have someone that can be able to check on you routinely. And that's why people pay for trainers at the gym, right? Because they're going to hold you accountable. So sometimes there's certain services that we pay for accountability. It's really not even for the action of like, I know how to go to the gym and work out, but I know if I have a trainer, he's going to hold me accountable to coming into the gym and doing the workouts. So being able to have that friend that who's more disciplined or consistent to kind of hold you to some of those goals. And then the other thing too is maybe creating a goal for yourself, right? So if I can hold to this habit for the next 2 months, then I am going to reward myself with something. So maybe being able to create some kind of a reward system where, I really want to book this trip, so-and-so, or I want to, purchase this dress. Maybe, right, if I can keep to this goal or to this habit of me doing this, that, and the third weekly or monthly, if I keep to it, then I'm going to treat myself to this thing.
We're
right? So finding the things, finding the things that motivate you. Like I tell my girlfriends, I've been blessed to have some very successful girlfriends, and they'll say something to the effect of, if I can complete this degree, if I can get my doctorate, guess what? I'm going to treat myself to this Lexus that I love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to get this car that I really, really dreamed of if I can complete this degree and get this job. That's going to motivate you because you want to drive that car, or you want to live in this type of neighborhood, or you want to buy this house, or you want to go to this country, right? Those are big goals. Those are the things that you can think about. That's why we do vision boards, because they're reminders as well.
Yeah.
Vision boards are reminders. So sometimes when you're not in the mood to do certain things, if you can go back and look like, you know what, if I can keep doing this, it's going to get me to that.
That's so good.
Yeah. Ray on, I don't even know what episode now it was, but Ray was talking about how she's a big proprietor of treating herself. And I was saying how I love that, because
the reward system, I live by.
Yeah, she said the reward system, because she was telling me, she's like, Ashley, you need to do a reward. I said, girl, I'll be over rewarding. I want the Louis wallet. Go get the wallet. Then the essay come out with the bag. Well, I gotta get the bag too, because it looks too cute on the wallet. I said, I need a budgeter to help me with.
You're doing well this year.
This year I ain't playing no games.
You had some goals, and
baby girl ain't playing no games on the spending. Okay,
you operate on the reward system.
Yes, I have been operating on the reward system. So, and I haven't really rewarded myself with nothing yet. So we're doing good. We're doing good.
You're pacing yourself. I like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, we talked a little bit a minute ago about, how to communicate to those who are struggling. What are some things not to say to people who are struggling with
People don't receive descriptions of how they look. People don't always like, girl, anything to have to do with, weight, anything, especially if you're noticing it physically, anything that has to do with their face or, or how they dressed, right? I don't think that's something that should be kind of put to the forefront at that moment in time when you're trying to talk to your friend about whatever. And then again, like we had mentioned earlier, it's the delivery. You can talk to this person, but again, the delivery matters. So try not to come off with anything that's of a negative connotation that could be very offensive. That's going to make someone in the defense. And so sometimes I'll say, how would you, because some people are able to receive certain comments. So some people who are, I want to say, not as emotionally sensitive, but you have to know your audience. So if you know that you're dealing with the friend that's emotionally sensitive, you know that how you're going to deliver this message, again, has to be in the right environment. And you just kind of have to tell them the things that you're noticing about them, in whatever light. But again, you just have to know your audience. Make sure you know your audience. You just can't up and say anything and everything, knowing fully well that they're going to be on the defense.
Yeah.
Yes. In so many words, you really just said, please think before you speak to someone who's think it through, because you don't want to, approach them wrong and then you're closed out and you can't help them if they need help.
Yeah.
Right? That piece. You don't want them to be closed up. Absolutely.
That's such a, fact. Fact.
In a society that people say whatever they want, when they want, just take a moment, think before you speak.
Right. Yeah. And the honest truth is to understand that, unfortunately, not everybody is emotionally intelligent, because even if you deliver this message to some, they're not going to receive it no matter how you say it. So that's the other piece to it too. And so if that's what it is, then, because I've had that situation happen and I've lost a friend because of it. Like, I'm coming to you with something and you're automatically you're not even reasoning, thinking, you're on the defense, you mad, and then you want to point out, well, guess what? You did this. And I was like, dang, I did. You ain't even say nothing. And I'm the type who I always tell y'all, tell me what's up, I'm a more bubbly person. So you should tell me, oh, no. And that friendship ended. But as my friend, or as a friend rather, it was my due diligence to point out to you that these are some of the things that I noted and I didn't think it was right. And simple, no argument, the tone was good. But then once they hear something negative, it's a no-go. And so some people are just not emotionally intelligent to receive those types of, or ready to have those types of conversations. And so you will get that too. And unfortunately, that's their loss if they're not ready to receive.
Yeah. I also recommend too, like, I guess I'm the type, I'm going to try to get through to you no matter what. So, that person, they don't really receive verbal interactions well. You could kind of write them a letter, send an email, that kind of just lays out and you provide examples and, just have a supportive tone about it. I think those can be received well too.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And again, that goes to knowing your audience, Ray. So rightfully so. So if you know that person will receive that better, then that's exactly what you do. So knowing your audience is key. I like that.
Y'all heard it here first.
Ash over here in the background, like,
listen.
Oh my God.
And hear and take in what is being said.
Yeah. So I think also an opportunity for us to kind of also self-evaluate and to know that sometimes, we're humans, we're going to make mistakes. And, just knowing the intentions, like your intention, that person intention. So if they're coming to, this is your friend of 10 plus years who has been nothing but, amazing to you and has shown nothing but love to you and comes to you with something that's negative, then you should be able to receive that because you know her intentions and she means well for you, and vice versa. So we should be ready to receive that too. So, that's also a question mark, like, dang, she said this to me and I got on the defense. And I think it's okay to apologize. If maybe you were defensive at that moment in time, you can reach back out and say, hey, Ash Bash, or hey, Ray, I did sit back and think about what you just said. And you know what? You're right. My apologies if I came off this way. And then we move forward. You and I are both emotionally intelligent. Things happen. We have conversations and let's go. So I feel like this conversation just kind of led from
And that's okay.
Communication techniques.
Okay. And we're bobbing so hard.
Yeah, we're bobbleheads over here, like.
So we kind of deviated. My bad, y'all.
No, we appreciate that. We do. But before we close it out, because we're not done just yet, but all three of us on here are overachievers, I would say. And, in women, they tend to have what they call high functioning depression. So can you give us a little insight on that? Like, what might that look like? Because like you said, especially to the mother, to someone who maybe have just become a mom, who's transitioning from living that life to motherhood, to just the very hardworking woman. And it's like, I need to do everything for everyone else. So what are some signs of that maybe our viewers could look out for?
And I think we kind of talked about it earlier already. That person that's always pushing through, that's high functioning depression. So, granted, you really want to ball up and curl up in your bed the whole day. Yeah. But you got a 6-month-old, a 3-year-old, and like a 6-year-old. And no, ma'am, no, you're not going to be lying in no bed all day. Okay.
And a dog.
Yes, and a dog, okay, and a partner, right? No, you're going to have to get up. So you so bad want to lay down and do nothing, but you can't. So you push through. You find yourself not even eating enough because you're constantly pushing through. There's no time, there's no interest. Again, you just kind of focus on the tasks that you need to do to survive that day, and that's it, right? So that's another piece of high functioning depression. So I have to report into work because if I don't, I'm not going to get paid. But I've seen depression so severe that they have lost their jobs because they just can't go.
Wow. Yeah.
Or they can't get up and take care of that child. And so this now leads to an admission into a facility. That happens. But with the high functioning piece, you're able to get up and go, but you're just doing the bare minimum every day. That's high functioning. You are doing the bare minimum every day. And it's good. It's wear and tear on the brain. People don't realize, but it is wear and tear on the brain. And it is a matter of time. It's time. Just like a heart attack, just like a stroke. It's going to hit you. It's going to hit you quick. And you might just drop. So it's really important for you to be able to, again, have that tribe, have a partner who's able to recognize that you're not yourself. And I need you to probably take a step back, or I probably need you to get help and find the resources. First things first, is I always tell patients, call your doctor. And if you don't have one, Google one and start there. And if not, you can even go to an urgent care. If you can't get into a doctor, my doctor's appointment went but 2 months out, well, go to an urgent care and tell them how you feel. Because they might be able to get you an immediate resource or give you something to kind of get you through until you're able to see whomever, or be able to get you into an immediate therapy appointment, whatever the case may be. So that's that.
Y'all, the gems have been dropped. The jewelry store is empty. Okay.
I love that. I've never heard that one before. I love that.
That was on top of the dome. You know how I do.
I love it, Ash.
The jewelry store is empty. The card is maxed out, baby. Y'all heard it here. Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves. Yes. And Dr. Annie also has telework. So plug the business, plug the practice, let the people know where they can find you.
So I do. I have a private practice in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. And I do primarily medication management for mental health. Therapy is also a big piece. So we do have therapists that we work with that we will refer you to if you do not qualify for medication management for your mental health diagnosis. We also do medicinal marijuana cards for Maryland residents for those that qualify, because we also believe in that for mental health diseases. And so, we are in Crofton. We do telemedicine. So no, you do not have to come in. Our website is www.capital, which is CAPITAL, M as in Mary, H as in Harry, G as in George.com. We're also on Instagram. So you can check us out there, capital MHG as well, if you want to shoot us a message. Our front desk is amazing. So they're always checking in messages from folks that might shoot us one that are seeking assistance, or just call us 667-307-4173. We would love to take care of you.
Yes.
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 Well, thank you. You have given us so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so helpful.
And I will not forget, because I always forget, favorite thing of the month. What are we loving? Dr. Annie, we're going to start with you.
Okay. This is cute that you guys do this, but for the first time, I got a facial steamer so I got it from Amazon. It wasn't expensive, y'all. It was $24.99. You know, we talked about self-care practices. I'm big on trying to get a facial every month, but I have been so busy and not in the country to where for the last 4 months, I have not had a facial, y'all. And let me tell you, this breakout is real. So I was like, I need to figure out how to do this on my own when I can. And I ordered this facial. I said, oh my God, why didn't I get this? I should have got this. I loved it. It just made me relax. I mean, right after, I took a nice little nap, y'all. Opened up my pores, massaged my little face. Took me a nice little nap right after.
That's perfect.
So yes, facial steamer for me, y'all.
Oh, I guess I'll go next.
Yes, right. What is yours?
Well, let's see what I'm loving this week. Okay, so y'all don't know I'm trying to grow out a bob. I've invested this month into like extensive like hair care products. So right now I'm using Olaplex. We know Olaplex works to build those bonds back. I'm a straight natural, but I'm trying to be a curly natural. So trying to get that heat damage up out of there, you know. So that I'm using, but I've paired it with the Mika Soul Food hair mask. That combination, I send it in the dryer with that mask after I do my Olaplex steps for about 20 minutes. And when I say my hair is soft and fluffy and curly, I'm back.
Oh, send me that, Ray.
I'll say that again. Mika,
Amika, and it's a hair mask. It's called Soul Food. Okay. Yeah, and let me not stretch it, but I think it's like vegan and. I know it's Black owned. Maybe I'm stretching the vegan part, but it's good. It works. That's what I'm loving this week.
I'm gonna get that.
What about you, Ash? What are you liking this month?
For me, funny enough, one of them is a facial. Shout out to Sierra at Selfish Beauty in Pikesville.
Hey.
Hey, Sierra.
Hey, Sierra. She was amazing. Her professionalism, top tier. I literally was like, oh my gosh, I never want to leave this place. And I literally was thinking, you know what? Whenever I'm going to get someone a gift, I'm going to gift them one of her services because that's how much I enjoyed it. Like from the moment I stepped in that door at Selfish, which I as y'all know, I do love Selfish Beauty, but I've never experienced having a facial with Sierra. And she was simply just so professional, so amazing, and gave me a skincare routine. Like really took the time to listen to what I needed, my lifestyle, and really recommended a range of products really that were, for me, very affordable. And just the one that she said, which was an enzyme cleanser, which I had not used. When I tell you I bought one and then like 2 days later, it came like 2 days later after the facial and I used it, I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been missing. And just the toning, she was like, switch it up. Every other day, tone in the morning and then tone at night, which I was not doing. I was not toning at night. And she was like, that's going to open up the pores to allow for the moisturizers and the serums that you put on at night to get into your skin. Yes. Yep. So yes. I really, funny enough, we're all talking about self-care and beauty. That's one of them. Another one, I might be late to the game, but I realized late last month that one of the features now on iPhone is you can schedule your text messages.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know iPhone could do that. No, I didn't know iPhone.
Yes.
Oh, I need
you
to do
can
that.
Schedule your text messages. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to walk y'all through it right now. You're going to go to just like your random text. You're going to type whatever you want to type. Then you're going to go to that plus sign. You're going to go to more, and then you're going to see where it says schedule text message, schedule send later. It says send later. And literally you just click it, you type your message, pick the time and the date.
Oh, yeah, I did not know this. This is amazing.
Right. Okay. Even the date. So if you have that text from someone, you're like, I do not feel like texting her right now because I like, or him or her, whoever, they're gonna call me. I'm trying to decompress.
Right.
Schedule it the next day.
Or if you're like me, sometimes I'm up early in the morning and I know I want to send this text to one of my girlfriends. I'm being considerate.
Right.
I schedule it. I schedule the text. It's amazing. When I tell you I have prayed for this and God delivered, because it is
Lord will answer prayers.
The Lord will answer. Hello.
Okay.
That is such a game changer.
It is.
For your business, for communication, whatever it may be.
What?
Hands down. Yes. So that is, I have been loving it. When I discovered that, I was like, wait. Because they kind of slid it in there. I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know about this. So I don't know, weirdly, collectively, or
no. When I tell you, so many people have not. I guess one, I don't watch. You remember how back in the day, like Apple used to have the announcements of all the things. I don't watch those anymore.
Yeah.
So when I went one day to the Plus to do, as y'all know, I love to voice memo. I was like, "What is this send later?" And I was like, I know you lying." So those, the facial and the send later text for your girl, game changer for the month.
Wow.
Thank y'all for sharing your favorite things for the month. And again, Annie, we cannot thank you enough for being on with us today and just taking time out of your very, very busy schedule. She's being modest, y'all, with this, because I've been trying to get this woman to do our sister's date for a long time. And we finally got a date last month. I still got this woman's birthday gift.
I know.
But we appreciate you and we wish you all the best. And thank you so much. And we will plug your business on our socials and on our link tree. Yes, for people to go and check it out. And please, you guys, just make sure to be well and take care of yourself and love on yourself. And if you need help, it's okay.
That's right.
Yeah, it's okay. And love on each other.
Love on each other. Yes, right. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll see y'all next month and we'll be in person next month.
Yay.
Yes.
See you all until next time. Bye.
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 If you enjoy listening to the podcast, follow us on social media at Her Side of the Story RA. And don't forget to rate the podcast and subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.